Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Chaos Child. And we were kind of cock-blocked looking at the board, because we were in the middle of doing this, but I have a feeling the scene's going to go on for a while, because there's a couple of, other little posted thingies below the one that we just looked at, so I feel like we've got a bunch of things, so we're still going. It's going to be a little while, so that part would have gone on too long, so anyway. We had just, said that the stickers were used to lead us to the pyrokinetic. All right. We kept running from the stickers that night. And ran right into Rika Haida. I see. That's right. In other words, the killer led us right to where Riko Haida was waiting. And Riko Haida attacked us. But when you think about it, she was no different than Ito. She was being mind-controlled into attacking someone. Her eyes did turn red at one point. It was like, she's enraged? Is it her pyro powers? No, it was her mind control powers. Being mind-controlled, not hers, I feel bad for her. Yeah, the real killer manipulated us into thinking that she was Senri Minamisawa. The killer even went through the trouble of preparing fake evidence. But it does seem like either it's Senri or someone is trying to get revenge, because you know what I mean? Like, they planted all that, and then Ito being like, it's for Senri, and all that, so it's like, she has something to do with it, but evidence, huh? The reason we completely believed that Riko Haida was Senri Minamisawa was, okay, that's the badge, that I know. Riko, I like Riko with a C, but we call her Riko with a K. Anyway. Senri's old pic looked just like Riko. She had her ID card, I think is that one. Yeah. I hope that was right. Yes, okay. Senri Minamisawa's ID card. That completely fooled us. It's like I have to lean over because the picture is super tiny on the guide, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like, what is this, a picture for ants? But why did she have that card? No idea. It's a complete mystery. Senri gave it to her? What? Where did Riko Haida get it? Or, he didn't even write with the extra E. This is just an idea, but the real Senri Minamisawa might be alive, and she was trying to pin the blame on Riko Haida. But Karusu kept saying that's impossible. I think she's just trying to protect her. It's possible that, she's working with her. Hey, there are some things you just shouldn't say. I almost screamed at Arimura. Was she trying to tell me that Karusu worked with the killer to do that to Yui? But Kazuki grabbed my shirt and stopped me. She shook her head as if telling me to calm down. Taku, don't get mad. You're scaring me. Oh, sorry. Arimura, I owe you an apology too. No, I'm sorry. That was careless of me. But Miyashiro, if you're gonna suspect someone, you should suspect everyone. You remember that Karusu lied in front of me once already, right? I mean, she lied, but then again, maybe she thought that's what she saw. Well, she was right. No, because if she thought she saw it, you know what I mean? Karusu had insisted that Senri Minamisawa was dead, but she hadn't actually seen her die. Of course, that goes for me, Sari, and Hana, too. Huh? Oh, huh? But that means I can't trust anybody. After what happened with Ito, that's probably a good idea. I liked Ito a lot. Of course, I wasn't in love with him or anything, but he was always so honest. Even if he lied, it was always so obvious, and his lies were never the bad kind that hurt people. He was like a really good person. So for the first time, I'm wishing I'd use my power better. Arimura. Hina? Until now, I'd always regretted wanting this power. I'd always thought it was better not to know the real meaning behind people's words. But now I regret it even more. If I'd used my power better, I could have realized that something was wrong with what Ito was saying. I could have saved Yui. Arimura's eyes looked so sad. Poor girl. No, it's not your fault. I sighed a little and moved away from the map. Lunchtime's almost over. That's enough. Hey, but there's still several things. Oh, and we're shutting down the club for a while. Makui told us we had to, so you don't need to come here after school. I see. I guess we don't have a choice. Oh, but Kazuki can come up and play ESO too if she wants. I'll leave the door unlocked. I forced myself to smile, but Kazuki softly lowered her eyes as if to say no. Aw, she's so sad. She only wants to play the games where other people are there. She's like, I don't want to. My friends aren't here. The sun set early in late autumn. Okay, well, there was more things for the board, so that's interesting that we're not putting them on. I guess we'll do them later. Never mind. I thought it was going to go on for a while because there was still more stuff. Just like I'd said over lunch, there was no club meeting that day. I had a short conversation with Sarika and then headed straight for Aoba dorm. Even so, it was already starting to get dark, and it was easy to imagine some hidden attacker lurking in the shadows. But there was more than just fear inside me now. Of course, I was afraid of the murderer. I was afraid of being killed in some horrible way and of dying in incredible pain. I could also feel a black rage rearing its ugly head inside me. You're gonna pay for what you did to Yui. Whoever the fuck you are, I will find you and I will tear you into tiny, bloody little shreds. Those feelings grew inside me with each passing moment. Mind control is a dangerous fucking power to have. Oh, you're Takuro Miyashita, right? Can we talk to you for a minute? You were the first person to find the body, right? What was it like? The media was still camped out around Aoba dorm. This is where you're like, that was my fucking sister! Actually, because of what happened with Yui, there were more of them than ever. And now that we were victims in their minds that made them our self-appointed heroic defenders, had gotten even bolder. They say that it was your best friend who was the killer. Is that right? You must be shocked, aren't you? How do you want him to apologize to you? Why do you think your friend did this? Was there something bothering him? Shut up! You want me to do the same to you as he did to her? Several of the lights that reporters were holding shattered at the same time. Go us. Then I suddenly came to my senses, shocked at the strong impulse I'd felt in the eerie light the dinosaur was giving off. Today's still only November 2nd. Nothing will happen until the 4th. Nothing. I pushed my way past the media and ran inside the dorm, repeating the words as if they were a magic spell. I'm back. I tried to calm myself down and act like nothing had happened. If Yuto heard yelling, it would wake him up. Well, welcome back to Kuro. I could see tiny little Yuki from the kitchen. We still weren't used to calling each other by our first names. Dinner's almost done. Thank you. None of us, including Dad, really wanted to eat anything, but she made dinner every night anyway. Poor fucking thing. That was her own way of struggling against the sadness, I thought. Like this, she's been through so much, this poor thing. Same with Yuto. I mean, we all have, but we're older. It's like the poor kids are like, these poor fucking children. Where are Dad and Kurusu? The doctor is at the police. It's about Yui. I see. Nono is taking care of Yuto in the exam room. Okay. Hey, Yuki? Yes? It's fine for today, but 2 days from now, on the 4th, make sure you're not alone at any point in time. Stay with everyone. Don't go outside no matter who tells you to. Got it? Does that include you, Takuru? That's right. Don't trust anyone. I remembered what Arimura had said, and my heart ached a little. Stay with multiple people. Yuki mumbled to herself for a moment, seemingly considering my words. Then she nodded. I'll go take a look at Yuto. Please tell Nono that dinner is ready too. I'll take care of Yuto. Got it. I left the dining room and quietly went down the stairs to the clinic. When I opened the door, Yuto was lying on the bed and looking up at the ceiling. He was showing more emotion than he had been right after it happened, and he would answer when you spoke to him now. But he was being given strong psychotropics and spent most of his time asleep or barely alert. Poor fucking child. Yuto? Oh, welcome home. How you doing? Better?
I'm fine now.
He forced himself to smile, probably because he didn't want to worry me. But the muscle that controlled his face weren't working the way he wanted yet, and it looked more like he was about to cry.
Oh.
Where's Kurusu? I looked around and didn't see her near the bed.
Over there. She's asleep, so leave her alone.
I found her at the desk where Dad kept his work computer. She was face down on the desk with her long hair covering the top half of her body. Her breathing was gentle and rhythmic. The computer was still on. She must have fallen asleep while working on it.
Big Sis Nono hasn't been sleeping much. She's been helping me, but she's also doing her student council work too. She's always sitting at the computer. I told her I'm fine now, but she won't listen.
It's Dad's job to tell you when you're fine.
That's true.
Don't worry about stuff too much. Just focus on getting better. Neither of us would bring up Yui. We'd probably have to wait until Yuto was a lot more grown up. I tapped him on the shoulder, then grabbed the blanket off the other bed and softly walked over to Kurusu. Even with the heater on, I figured she might catch cold if she slept in a place like this. But I fell silent when I saw what was on the computer screen. It was displaying several sites that dealt with the return of the new generation madness. Girl! You told me to stop investigating! Well, like long before now, but... And the very front was the video from Don't Look at Me. You're watching this in front of Yuto? Jesus Christ! It was paused at the moment where the victim realized he'd sliced up his own arm and passed out in a puddle of blood, tears, and drool. You know what's really funny, though? They show that, and they show the log thing there that looks like a log of cheese, but it would be his arm. It wouldn't have been a thing of cheese. That was his thought process, not everybody else's. It's funny. There was a newly bought notebook next to her filled with words in her pretty handwriting. Some of it was names, locations, and times that overlap with what we had on the map in the clubroom wall. But Caruso had made several sharp insights of her own. For example, Incident 2. Why didn't the victim put on makeup for her last street performance? The mind controller is male? He didn't consider that a girl would need to put on makeup? That goes back to Kawahara. I do it for Senri! I mean, because Ito was like, because I was in love with her, and you're like, what? You didn't even know her. But if Kawahara was the one doing it, I'm just saying. Senri's ID card. No one but me knew that I buried it under the memorial in remembrance of her. The killer had to read my mind to dig it up? The killer or killers can read minds? No one but me knew that I buried it under the memorial in remembrance of her. Oh, that's... Oh! But did no one but you know? Which means there are two killers, one who can read minds and one who can control minds, supports Takuru's multiple killers theory. There was page after page of it. I'm amazed she put all this together in such a short time. But why? Oh. She must have sensed that I was staring at her because she moved a little. Her almond eyes slowly opened and she blinked several times. And then she raised her head and looked at me.
Oh, it's you, Takuru? Welcome back.
I'm home. Here, have a blanket. You'll catch cold.
Oh, no. Did I fall asleep?
And then she seemed to realize her mistake. She quickly reached out her hand to turn off the computer monitor. I grabbed it.
Listen, Takuru, this is...
I refused to let go of her hand.
You like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?
This is that moment. This is literally that moment.
What are you doing, Takuru?
That's what I want to know. Don't tell me you're doing this for the student council. Kurusu flinched a little. This was the exact opposite of how things usually went between us. It was always me who did the flinching.
It is.
Like hell it is.
You're hurting me. Let go.
But I kept holding on and glaring at her a little. At first, she squirmed a little, but eventually her natural strong will won out, and she glared right back at me. I don't know how long we stayed like that, but surprisingly, it was Kurusu who gave up first. She silently put her other hand on top of mine.
I'm sorry, so let me go.
I relaxed my grip a little and shook her hand away. Why are you doing this on your own? You're not thinking of finding the real killer on your own, are you? And trying to keep the rest of us out of it?
That's...
You'd get mad if I did that, but you're allowed to? Are you allowed to? What if the killer comes after you and you end up like Yui? I don't want that to happen. Kurusu fell silent for a second after I spat out the words. And then she started to talk, hesitantly, as if she were uncertain of how to say what she was thinking.
Remember what you said before? That it was like the case was following you now?
Yeah?
It's the same for me. Ever since I learned that Senri was involved, she's been following me.
Huh? Senri? Senri Mitamasawa? What did she mean she was following her? Haunting her? Yeah. Didn't she say she died in the Shibuya earthquake? And that was a lie, and Senri was after not only me, but Kurusu? No, it's like metaphorically, idiot, but also possibly literally, but... She must have sensed my confusion because Kurusu shook her head.
Senri died in the earthquake. I know that for a fact. What's chasing me is... I don't know how to describe it. Her ghost.
Huh? My mouth hung open as I struggled to understand what she just said. I never imagined that she'd use an unscientific word like ghost. Also, I don't think she did, though, because, like, there is a long-haired, pigtailed, long pigtailed haired girl in the freaking intro, so where the hell is this girl? Like, I don't think she did. That's all I'm saying. What are you talking about? I don't understand.
I'm sorry. This is all I can say right now. I don't have the courage to tell you.
Her face twisted in sorrow. I see. There's still a lot of things you can't tell me, huh? By the time I realized what I'd said, it was too late. The pain in my heart had come back, and the words had slipped out of my mouth. Oh. Even after I'd sworn I was never going to say those words to her again. Just like I expected, she looked even sadder. Kurusu, no. That wasn't what I meant.
But...
I told you before, right? I'm different than who I used to be. And I'm right here in Aoba dorm, right? If I was still going to get mad or upset, I wouldn't come back. Kurusu sat down on the bed, exhausted. I suddenly realized that Yuto had left. It was dinner time after all, and he probably thought the two of us wanted to be alone. There was a long, long silence after that. Neither Kurusu nor I said a word. We just stared at different spots in the room. And eventually Kurusu started to talk.
Someday...
Huh?
Someday I want to tell you all the things that I can't say. It may make you hate me again, but I don't care. When that happens, will you let me say everything I need to?
That's gonna be where she's gonna hold out until her route, so we're not gonna know whatever the hell it is she's hiding. Yeah. Thanks. And finally, she smiled. It was a weak smile, which looked as though it could fade at any second.
Hey, Takuru?
Hmm?
Do you remember the day you woke up after the earthquake?
I was really out of it, so not really. But I remember that the first thing I saw was you crying.
You see.
Thinking back, it's kind of strange. Why were you crying?
Because I was happy you woke up.
Why? Back then you and I were still, well, strangers.
Maybe that was true for you, but I'd taken care of you for over a year. You were a part of my family.
The fragile smile was still on her face.
So I know everything there is about you. Even the stuff you're too embarrassed to tell the other girls.
Stop it. You're not supposed to say that.
You're right. Sorry. I won't do it again.
And then there was another silence. It was as if the two of us were trapped by memories of the past and had forgotten that time even existed.
Excuse me?
And then time started to move again. Oh, that's right. We missed dinner. I'm sorry.
No, I'll warm it up again. Sorry, Yuki.
Yuki may or may not have been able to tell what was going on between us, but she left for the upstairs dorm without another word.
Takeru, go on ahead.
Sure. Oh, Kurusu. As she got up for the bed and headed for the dorm, I called out to her.
What is it?
Her soft chestnut hair flew upward as she spun around. I, I, as I looked into her beautifully colored eyes, I was finally able to say it. I don't want to lose any more of my family. How long had it been since I called Kurusu part of my family? Her eyes went wide for a moment, and then suddenly she started to cry. Takuru. It's so funny because, like, they try to, like, they're talking and they're having a family moment, but they almost have this undertone of, like, are we having a romantic moment? And then he's like, her beautiful colored eyes. And then, I don't want to lose my family. Okay, well, then you can't get romantic with it because that's creepy. Like, I mean, you're not really related, so it's not really creepy, but there's a weirdness to me where I'm like, you've basically thought that she was like your sister the whole time, and then now you want to bang her. Like, you grew up with her. You know what I mean? Like, no, she's not really your sister, but she's basically like your sister. Kind of like how Serica's basically like your bro. Like, you know, so I can't really see you wanting to be involved with either one of them. But I mean, I do have a feeling though that, like, are you going to be like, I hope there isn't like a lot of romance going on, because again, I don't know. Like, you don't, like, the characters' routes that you're with is probably the person that, like, okay, they know more about the story, but like Artemura makes sense. You know, I can't see them together, but you know, she makes sense because she's a psychic. She knows some stuff, like, whatever. Kazuki confuses me though. It's like, what the hell does she have? Like, what is going on with her? What is she not telling us? Yamazoe makes sense because, again, she's a psychic. She was in the facility, you know, whatever. And then Kurusu knows all the stuff about Senri, but, like, Kazuki, what is that bitch hiding? Aside from a weird Irish accent. I'm just saying, what is she hiding? I'm too glad that we get more of her, though, because I love her. Even though she just mumbles, but whatever. Takeru, so really, don't do this. Don't try and find the killer on your own. If that happened to you, if what happened to Yui happened to you... Huh? That's pathetic. I'm not supposed to cry. Aww.
Fine, I won't. So promise me too, Takuru, that you won't leave me behind and disappear.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I can't take it. I can't take all this sadness.
What you guys doing? You're making weird noises. What? And then you're staring at me. What the hell is happening?
Are you both mind controlled to attack me?
It makes sense. She probably didn't even know what she was doing. Did she just hug me? She hugged me. Aw. She ran up to me and buried her face in my chest. Yeah, okay. She wrapped her arms around me as if she refused to let me go. And cried for a long, long time, calling out Yui's name in a tiny voice. Kurusu, until now I'd always been bothered by the idea of a family. I thought it was just a heavy, annoying chain that kept me stuck in one place because your other family was a bag of douches. Like, they just didn't care about you, but I was wrong. Dad, Yui, Yuto, Kurusu, and even Yuki now. They were all a part of my family. It was only then that it really hit me that Yui was gone forever. And I held Kurusu's frail body tight and cried like a baby for a long, long time. And Yuki's upstairs. I reheated it. Now it's cold again. November 3rd. The school was empty since it had closed for Culture Day. Of course, no one from the newspaper club was there, and the room was empty and quiet. I'd been there alone since lunchtime. I wasn't sure how many hours I'd been staring at the map, looking for a clue that pointed toward the real killer. I had until tonight. Once it was past midnight, November 4th would be here. And then the final return of the New Generation Madness murder could occur at any time. The killer was probably getting ready right now. Aww, Yui. Who was their last target? Probably you! Was it me? Artemura? Yuki? Or someone I didn't know at all? And that's the thing, though. If they're coming after you because we're mad because you left Senri behind, why did they kill a bunch of random strangers? You know what I mean? And I feel like the Senri thing, I mean, I don't know. There is something else going on, but it does seem like it's more like, just why we're like, why? And you're like, just cuz. Like, I'm not gonna tell you the real reason, so I'm gonna say it was because have Ito say it's because you left Semri behind because I know that eats away at you. But Ito has been following you or like mind controlled for a while, right? And they set up all this stuff so that you would find Arimura at the second one, at the third one, and then Watabe would be there. You would run into Riko, and she would try to kill you. And so there has been a lot, but the first and second one still make sense. Unless it was like, aha, we'll do the first and second so that you'll get kind of interested. And then when the third one happens, then you'll show up. And then, you know what I mean? They kind of lured you out like that. But again, it still doesn't quite make sense. So there's something more to it. Maybe we don't remember certain things. Maybe we had been experimented on and we don't remember. I don't know. Arimura had already said she would spend the night at Aoba dorm. I'd ask her to stay with Yuki and the others at all times. With her power, we should be able to avoid a repeat of what happened to Yui. And I'm sorry, Kurusu. I'm a liar. I'd find the real killer and make sure they came after me. And then I'd take revenge for Yui. Yesterday I'd spoken with Arimura and the others and gone over the things that didn't make sense. When we talked, there were a few things we'd left to come back to later. First, the third case, revolving dead. Why did the policeman ignore us when he saw us inside the Love Hotel wearing Hekio uniforms? The answer was probably what I'd initially thought, that the officer was being mind-controlled. The only reason I could think of was that the killer wanted me to be at the scene. But I couldn't figure out why. So why not think about it another way? What if I hadn't gone there? Why would that cause a problem for them? I might not have noticed the connection between the stickers and the case. I might not have noticed my power was telekinesis. Well, we didn't know that then. I might not have seen a person die in front of me for real. I think I might not have noticed the connection between the stickers and the case because we wouldn't have gotten the picture and seen the sticker, and that's why. I'm pretty sure that's it, but let me check. Let me check the guide. Hold on. It closed. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Okay, cool. All right. That's right. I'd taken that video without even thinking about it, and after analyzing it 100 times, I found the sumo sticker. And then I found the other stickers at the other murder sites. Then I made a video connecting the murders to the sumo stickers and uploaded it to the internet. It still doesn't quite explain why Yuki and the old lady, or whatever, why Yuki was there at every single one. You know what I mean? And because of that video, our minor little newspaper club site had gotten an incredible number of hits. No, wait a second. Then did the killer send me there to the benefit of the newspaper club? That's ridiculous. I frowned and crumpled up the paper where I'd written newspaper club site hits and threw it in the trash. And then I glared at the map again. I looked at the next note that we'd marked to come back to. It's about Watabe and the fourth incident, Gotsuon death. The real reason that our site had gotten so many hits was that Watabe, the famous internet journalist, had gotten involved. That's why he decided to hold an interview with us. But just like I'd said yesterday, I couldn't figure out why. The interview would have done nothing but fuel the flame war. So I guessed that Watabe had already been under the control of the killer. But Kunisada was the one who started the flame war. She even said that she started it, and she kind of... Actually, well, wait. We said Watabe was mind-controlled to asking to meet with us, but didn't she kind of, goad him into it in a way? So, didn't she say that? Am I crazy? Because now I'm like, if we go with, he was mind-controlled, he did... Well, then that's pointing to Kunisado, because she admitted, I think, at one point, I started the flame war, and then blah, 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 and then didn't she, talk to Watabe or whatever? Or he was like, someone I know, blah, 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 which might have been, quote-unquote, K. Was like, you should go there and, talk to them. And, he was like, I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Kind of put the idea in his mind to do it. Not, mind-controlled him, but, convinced him to do it. So, Wait. Which means that the killer stood to gain something from having Watabe meet with us, right? Who stood to gain by having Watabe come to Hekio? Hekio Academy Student Council, Hekio Academy Newspaper Club, the Lit Club. Having Watabe come to Hekio would either be the Student Council or the Newspaper Club, right? But it would be us because we'd be getting attention for it. Right? I would say the newspaper club, but let's see. Hold on. Yeah, it is the newspaper club. Okay. But that could have been Ito. That's right. We in the newspaper club were the ones who stood to gain something. Oh my god. I glanced at the paper I'd just thrown in the trash that read newspaper club site hits. We were already kind of famous because of the video we'd uploaded about the sumo stickers. The arrival of Watabe, the famous reporter, only increased that. And then just as the discussion was about to start, Watabe had become a victim of the return of the new generation madness. Talk about sensational. It's as if they were trying to make the newspaper club famous. But why? And after that, the newspaper club got deeper and deeper into the case. Oh my god, it's Serica! And then the case became more than just something that we reported on. Because if it's Kazuki, then why would we have a path with her? I'm just saying, we don't have one with Serica, and she's like our bestie. I mean, I knew why we didn't have one with Ito, not because I suspected he was going to kill someone, but it was because he's a dude, and we're not going to have the gay path. But, I don't really necessarily know that, there's going to be any romance, but it's definitely because it's, geared toward, okay, it's more male gazy, you know what I mean, with, the cute girls. So, of course, all the routes could be us hanging out with girls, so you can be oh, we're going to date her, even if nothing happens, Understandable. It's kind of like a non-romancia Tome game, where you're okay, we're playing a female character, and there's just a bunch of hot guys around. Or Bungo Stray Dogs, where, well, everybody can enjoy that, but hi, we enjoy looking at the hot anime guys, right? So, right, whatever, anyway. And then the case became more than just something that we reported on. Uh-oh. We went through things that no high school newspaper club would ever experience and felt excitement, terror, and surprise. Damn it. They've just been toying with the newspaper club. They're pissed at you for breaking that thing that Old Man Jenkins was the ghost in the mask, Scooby Gang. Jesus. Part of that was the attack on me and Arimura by the pyrokinetic. Even then, the killer had shown signs of toying with us. It wasn't Senri Minamisawa who attacked us. It was another woman named Riko Haida. But the killer had Senri Minamisawa's ID card. That was what had fooled us, and it also almost sent the case off in the wrong direction. But last night I finally solved the mystery of the ID card. Because I'd seen this about Senri Minamisawa's ID card in Kurusu's notes. She buried it. Kurusu put ID card under memorial, but killer read her mind and dug it up. Killer hid ID card in her... Kurusu hid it in her room. No, Kurusu remembered design of ID card and killer recorded her mind and copied it. Well, this would be if Watabe was the killer, right? That's right. And dig it up. Well, Kurusu put ID card under memorial, but killer read her mind and dug it up. Thank you. Senri's ID card, no one but me knew that I buried it under the memorial in remembrance of her. The killer had to read my mind to dig it up? The killer or killers can read minds? Well, if they can mind control, you'd think that they could read minds. They can get in your mind and control. So if they can control your mind, why can't they poke around in your mind? You know what I mean? It was safe to assume that she was right, and the killer had read her mind and taken the ID card from the memorial. That one I didn't need help on, because we just learned that. But what was the reason? Why did the killer want to make it look like Senri Minamisawa was attacking us? What was the point? They tried to expose human experiments by making Senri Minamisawa famous, tried to terrify me by bringing up my past trauma, tried to drive Ito, who loved Senri, into committing crimes. Well, that's bullshit, because Ito didn't really love Senri. Terrify me by bringing up my past trauma, maybe, but exposing human experiments by making Senri Minamisawa famous. I feel like that's it, but the weird thing is, well, all of this is kind of Kunasato, but she's I hate their ilk. She actually wants more human experiments, so I don't think she'd want to expose the human experiments. So never mind. That what doesn't, but I think this is it. That's Kurusu put ID. Why did the killer want to make it look like Senri was attacking? Oh, it's actually terrify me by bringing up my past trauma. Okay. I would have gotten that one wrong. That just seems very, egocentric of us, but that's right. I feel like the killer was using Senri Minamisawa to take advantage of my trauma. In fact, I'd felt terrified many times because of that. This is now all making... Serica, seriously, girl? No, wait. That means... I spoke aloud without even realizing it. The killer isn't after the newspaper club. They're after me? I thought that was kind of already established. When Ito was like, I'm after you because of Senri, right? That's impossible. There was no way they could have committed all these murders just to mess with me. It made no sense, and it was far too elaborate. And also awkwardly weird, because why would they have done all these murders just because they were mad that you left Senri there? Or if it is Senri, right? I'm mad because you didn't save me. Why are you coming after me? Serica was there too. Or maybe Serica's mad. Maybe Serica is Senri. What color are Serica's eyes? Are they pink? And for all the effort they put into it, there was something that didn't make sense about the incidents with Ito and Yui. I mean, Serica was there, so she couldn't be, but maybe? I don't know. That was... Okay, wait. Something that doesn't make sense about Ito and Yui. Okay. Revenge for a girl you once loved. Too pathetic to be a motive. Yes. From the order, Yuki, not Yuki, should have been the next target. Oh, Yuki, not Yui, should have been the next target. From the order. What order? It makes no sense to turn Ito into a killer if the motive is vengeance. He didn't know her. I mean, that to me is it, right? Hold on. That was... Yeah, hold on. It makes no sense to turn Ito into a kill motive. Yeah, he didn't know her. Okay, yep. That's right. There was no point in making Ito out to be the killer. No, in fact, making Ito the killer was the wrong thing to do. If the point was making it look like this was Senri Minamisawa's revenge, there were other people who would make more sense. For example, though it was scary to even think about it, Senri Minamisawa's best friends, Kurusu and Kawahara, right? If one of them had committed the murder, the police never would have become suspicious at all. It's possible that we might not have even figured out that mind control was involved. This whole thing could have ended with the assumption that it was a plot to get revenge for an old friend. Yeah, Kawahara would be perfect. So why did the killer choose Ito when he wasn't involved? And why did they make him tell lies that would be easily found out? What was the point? They're trying to torture you. It's like they're trying to tell us that Ito was just a puppet and the real killer was someone else. Yeah, I mean... Oh god, I heard that snap and I was like, oh my god, someone's behind us! And then I suddenly stood up from my chair. Is that what they're after? It was what they're after? The killer deliberately chose Ito, who had no motive at all, to commit the crime? Of course, we'd realized that immediately and started looking even harder for the real killer. They want you to find them. But none of the cops, except for Shinjo, would believe in psychic powers. Add in the media's speculation and the public's confusion and interest would only grow. That was exactly what happened. More and more pundits and commentators were arguing over whether Ito, whom they always called Boy A, was really the killer. And of course, multiple threads showed up on 8chan simultaneously declaring both his innocence and guilt. There were even threads speculating about who the true killer might be, and they showed no signs of stopping. And tomorrow was the 4th. From midnight tonight to midnight tomorrow, the whole city would be waiting with bated breath to see the killer's next move. They do a really good job in this, and like, oh my god, making it spooky, and you're like waiting, or like this, oh my god, and then you're like, oh, do you feel the anxiety? You're like, oh my god, okay, shit's gonna happen. Like, I don't know, they do a really good job with this game, keeping you invested and into it. I just have to say, because sometimes you play games and you're reading through and you're like, this is fun, but there's lulls and it's kind of boring. This is never once. In the beginning, you're like, okay, starts off, I wouldn't even say it starts off slow. You're like, okay, you're getting into the background. And you're like, okay, it's interesting. Okay, we're meeting the characters. What's happening? But it started from, I feel like even the very beginning, just getting into it. But like, it never stops. There's like, you might have a thing where we're having a conversation, but it's not like, okay, yeah, we've had the... Oh my god, I'm so bored. It's not even like that. You start this conversation and you might go back, but then you're doing this and you're like, oh my god, and then shit's just always happening and there's always like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? There's a reveal. Something comes out. Or there's like a, oh god, okay, we're creeping in a spooky basement and I feel a little weird. And it's not like horror movie jump scare ready, but you're like, something's going to happen. Something's going to go down. And you're kind of like anticipating some kind of shit happening. Or like this where he's like, oh my god, and you're like, what? Oh my god, yeah. There's like an excitement building. I don't know. It's just always, you're just always kind of on the edge of your seat with this. Like, what's going to happen next? What's going on? I'm like really glad that the people on Twitter voted for this because I've had this for forever. And you read the well, okay, first of all, like the tagline under the like title is like, if you are God and the delusion become reality, about what kind of the noids you get. I mean, is it the sensual world, the despotic society, the destructive sanctions, or... And that makes no sense. And then, like, so, like, I didn't read too much, but it was like, okay, it's cool. It's like a visual novel game we can play. It'll be fun, whatever. And we just never played it because, like, sometimes you're just like, I don't know. Some games you're like, yes, we have to play this now. And other games you're like, And everybody voted for this one. And I was like, okay, sure. I mean, people voted for it. It was an option. It's because I had the thumbnail already made. But I'm like, so fucking glad people did because this is so good. Sometimes I need you guys to be like, you need to play this. Like, I know. Like, there's so many other games out there that we have. Like, trust me. Backlogged. But, But, like, I'm glad that we did this one now. Like, because this is fucking good. Anyway. What if the killer had planned all this? It was like they were challenging me to a game. They'd lured me in with the return of the new generation madness, which they knew I'd take an interest in. Ah, that explains the first two. Okay, yeah. Because I'm like, what's the point? Oh. They're... okay, well, okay, this... See? It's like, why the fuck would you kill all the... Oh, they're... Okay, they're toying with us. They're fucking with us. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And all right. They used Senri Misawa to drive me into a corner from which I couldn't escape. They were moving everyone around for their own ends, both wrong-siders and self-proclaimed right-siders, like chess pieces on a board. And they wanted me, the other player, to try and stop the last murder on November 4th. I put my hand on my forehead and stared at the map, unable to believe it. That was the only reason? They killed all those people for that? That's why they did that to Yui? No, this is a delusion. This is all my delusion. I could hear that I was whispering to myself. That's right. There has to be some greater conspiracy going on here, which again would explain all the routes, because if this were like getting toward the end of the game and then we finished it up and there were no routes, this would make sense. But there's got to be something, like we're going to end it and it's going to be like, but why? And then we're going to have to find out, so. He's being a douche. There has to be some greater conspiracy going on here. Some huge conspiracy that'll shake the world to its core. And we've been caught up in that huge plan, and that's why this was happening to us. That had to be it. Suddenly I heard a sound of a ringing phone. I quickly looked around for the source. It was my smartphone, which I kept inside my bag. I quickly pulled it out and looked at the screen. Shinjo? Shinjo had been visiting Ito in the hospital every day, since he was the one in charge of Yui's case. He was calling, that meant. I forced myself to stay calm as I hit the answer button. Miyashiro? Yes? Did Ito wake up? Yeah, 2 hours ago. 2 hours? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Don't ask me for the impossible. I was waiting for the other officers to leave the room. If they even caught me talking to you, I'd be punished. But what about Ito? Is he okay? Yeah, he's a lot more alert. He can talk. But, well, Kunosato... I could hear Kunosato's voice on the other end of the phone. There's damage not only to his neocortex, but his hippocampus and language center, too. I can't guarantee the damage won't be permanent if he pushes himself too hard. That's the situation. But he says he wants to talk to you anyway. Okay? Ready? I'm putting him on. Ito's like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. But, like, he's not so damaged he can still talk at all. Like, wow. Okay. I gulped down the saliva in my mouth. Suddenly, I felt a terrible uncertainty in my heart. What was I supposed to say to Ito? Even if he'd been mind-controlled, he was still the one who chopped up my little sister. Wonder if he remembers. But I didn't hear any sound coming from the phone. Ito? I heard the sound of a deep breath on the other side of the phone. Ito, are you okay? In the end, that was all I could say. Miyashiro. Yeah, it's me. Forgive me. Forgive me, please. What? I killed Yui. No, you don't need to say any more than that. I tried to cut him off, but he ignored me and started crying. But Yui was your sister, but I killed her. It's no good. Even if I killed myself, it wouldn't atone for this. Would it, Miyashiro? What are you talking about? Are you saying you're gonna die? Snap! Oh, snap out of it, Ito. Shinjo's yells overlapped with my words. Listen to me. I don't think you did that to Yui. Someone else is the real killer. The real killer? Yeah, you're innocent. Just try and remember. Someone did something to you, right? Right? Someone did something? That's right. Who was the one mind-controlling you? Suddenly I heard him scream in pain on the other end of the phone. Ito? What's wrong? Stop it. Make him stop. His brainwaves are abnormal. What? His mind is still being controlled. It's been set up to keep us from getting information out of him. What? At this rate, it'll destroy his hippocampus. Did you hear that, Miyashiro? We're done. I'm hanging up. Wait! Don't hang up! Ito's screams cut him off. I can almost remember. Just a little more. Oh, Ito's gonna, sacrifice his brain, and he's gonna go brain dead trying to help. He might have chopped up our sister and put her in pretty little boxes, but he's still a good boy. This is a weird thing to feel, but... Ito, that's enough. Stop. But Ito didn't stop. He was trying his best, enduring terrible pain to tell me something. Miyashiro, it was in the club room. The club room? I don't remember when. There was someone else there with me. No, stop it. Shut up. Still talking to me, Miyashiro. Don't hang up. Ito, am I gonna avenge Yui? I don't care what happens to my mind. I mean, because otherwise he's got to live with this forever. Even from here, I could sense his incredible determination. Are you listening, Miyashiro? Yeah, I'm listening. I talked with them for a while, and then... That's right. They showed me a picture of you on a phone. A picture of me? Yeah, I don't remember what the photo was. I remember I was surprised. I was surprised because you looked so happy. You were the people from Aoba dorm. I'd never seen you like that. My phone. A picture from Aoba dorm. What was he talking about? There were no photos like that. And then, that's right, I remember. They laughed and pointed at someone. Kill this girl, they said. Yui. It was Yui. The killer had a picture of me and Yui together. The killer had the picture of your phone. I got scared and tried to run away. And then someone else opened the door and came in. The two of them. Stop it. Stop. What are you doing? Stop. Ito. His mind had finally reached its limits. There was two of them. There was one last scream of terror and then nothing. He didn't answer no matter how many times I yelled his name. All I heard was meaningless mumbling. He didn't seem to know where he was or what he was doing anymore. Miyashiro, I'm sorry, but he can't talk anymore. Give the phone to Kunasato. Huh? Just do it. Hurry. A moment later, Kunasato answered the phone in a cold voice. Do you need something? Please, help Ito. You're the one who made him talk. Why are you asking me for this now? Once this is over, you can use me as a guinea pig for your experiments, so please. I heard a mocking laughter in her voice. Oh, I'm gonna take you seriously, you know. Do whatever you want. Just save Ito. Fine, I'll do what I can, but don't get your hopes up too much. Then she hung up the phone. No matter how many times I called back, she didn't answer. Maybe one of the other police officers besides Shinju had come into the room. Ito. At the very end, he'd endured terrible pain to give me that information. Thinking back, it was incredibly important. It was a winter evening, and still there was cold sweat forming on my forehead. They had the cell phone, so it was either Kurusu, because she has that picture on her phone, or someone had my phone. But Yamazoe put it back down. Sarika was with us. He wasn't Ito. I can't think it was Kazuki. Although he would have been like, it was Kazuki because she was speaking. They had a weird Irish accent. You know what I mean? The person who controlled Ito's mind was once here in this room? I tried to drive my tired, exhausted mind to fit in the last piece of the puzzle. That can't be. It makes it sound like the real killer was one of us. It's Sarika or Kawahara. Or both of them. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Because if the real killer is Kurusu, why do we have a route with her that we can go down and find more answers? Right? I don't know if we're going to find out the answer. Because, you know, and if it's Kazuki, why do we have a route with her? We don't have one with Sarika. Kawahara, could actually have been in love with, or I mean, they were friends, but he could have liked, you know what I mean? They were like little kids, but still. You're like 11 or 12, like, oh, my first crush type of thing. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. It's getting so fucking good. But that was the hint Ito had given me. And if that hint was also, if that was also a message from the killer, the fact that Ito had woken up right before November 4th, the fact that he'd given me that information, it all seemed like a part of the killer's next move. Oh, damn it. That's what you want, then I'll play along. Even if it's just what you want. I'll find you. Ito's first hint. The killer was talking with Ito in private in the newspaper club room. Which meant that it was someone close enough to Ito to have a chat like that. And someone who would belong in the newspaper club. Well, anybody who could come into the room. By process of elimination, who could I rule out? Which of these people didn't, I suspect? Okay, well, oh my god, it's Wakui. Who don't you suspect? Well, I don't suspect me. I don't think I would suspect... Okay, Kurusu, Sarika, Kazuki are, you know, newspaper club students. Wakui is a newspaper club student. Yamazoe probably isn't the one because they probably showed the phone. They might have taken our phone, right? And Yamazoe wasn't around at that point. I don't think it was Shinjo. Are we supposed to pick multiple people? I mean, it could be me, for all I know. Or who are we ruling out? Okay, well, I would say, I would say I would rule out Yamazoe. I don't think it's Kunasato just because she's like, I'm gonna find who did this, and she hates us anyway, but I don't think it's her because... I mean, it could be, though. I don't know. She's on the iffy list. Like, it could be, but then that was a weird line to have her put in there. Like, I'm gonna find them, and I'm gonna kill all the rest. Like, I'd do it, too. But she seems more mad that they're killing people because she wants to experiment on us. So, like... But it could still all be a game to her. You never know. But she seems more pissed off that the shit's happening and she's not involved. You know? So... I would rule out... I don't know if I'd rule out Kawahara, honestly. Wakui seems very sus, though, right now. I would definitely rule out Shinjo, Kunasato, and Yamazoe. Arimura, we already know her power is to tell the lies, so the whole middle row is gone to me. Shinjo's gone. Wakui definitely stays. I think I'd rule us out, too, but, like, Kawahara could be there. Because he was talking to Ito, and he could talk to Ito privately. You know what I mean? He's another student. But I'd rule out that middle row. So I'm going to see if the guide says, because I have no idea. Which of these people didn't I suspect? Okay, interesting. We don't suspect Kazuki. I could rule out Kazuki. Even when she was in the club room, she was always playing ESO 2. She never spoke to anyone. Oh, that's true. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Even if she was alone with Ito, she never would have talked to him. That's a very valid fucking point, and I'm an idiot. And Yuki was right, okay, because she wasn't around. Yeah, I could definitely rule out Yuki. There was that call from my missing phone that Ito had received. At first, I thought that was her doing, but now I'd known that Ito had done it all himself. If she and Ito were working together, there was no need for him to install that app. He could have just had Yuki make the call. So I could rule her out. Well, also, I don't think she was around at the time. You know, she wouldn't have been in the club room. Kunasato, I was right about that. I'd only met Kunasato. That's right. It was after Ito had faked the call. At that point, we'd never met. Oh, okay. All right. Which meant it didn't match with Ito's evidence. Okay. I could eliminate her. We hadn't met. I would definitely assume it's not Shinjo because he wouldn't have been in the thing. So, okay. Really? Okay, so I wasn't even thinking Kazuki because I was like, she's a newspaper club student, but right, she doesn't talk. Okay, so hold on. I was probably safe to take Shinjo off the list of suspects. It's Wakui. Ito and Shinjo had only met after I'd gotten the call. Yeah, and it was safe to rule him out. Honestly, I'm surprised that Arimura is not off the list. But... And Kawahara. I would have left him on there because, I mean, I feel like he's sus as fuck. Like, He could have very well been pissed at us about the Senri thing. Why would he have had the picture? But, you know. Honestly, Kazuki just was because she was in the newspaper club. But I would have left out Artemura just because we know what her power is. So. But okay. Yeah, I could take Kawahara off the list. He was friends with Kurusu, but not that close to Ito. No, but he could still have come into the, I need to talk to you about something, and then mind controlled him. You know what I mean? So, and because of Kurusu, he didn't like the newspaper club. It's hard to imagine the two of them talking in private here. He didn't say that it had to be like, yeah, you know what I mean though? Like, that to me doesn't rule him out because he's student council vice president, so of course he would come in, you know? Hana Kazuki, Yuki Yamazoe, Mio Kunasato, Takeshi Shinjo, Musashi Kawahara. I could rule out these 5. Which left me. It's Wakui and Serika. Because. But Kurusu is the one with the photo. But, like, why would she kill Yui? But then again, she did put, like, I buried the ID card and I'm the only one who knows it. And it's like. But then we have a thing with her. But maybe that's why we have a thing with her. Is because she's the, like, you know what I mean? I don't know anymore. Which left, and if I use Ito's evidence to narrow it down further, oh god. I talked with him for a while, and then, that's right, he showed me a picture of you on a phone. It's anybody who got my phone. That could have been my phone. It was after I lost my phone. The killer had a picture of me. And the picture of me in Aoba dorm with Yui. That sounds like, if I was smiling, that meant it was a pretty old one. Nothing else. It'd be from before I left to go live by myself in the park. It's the one that Kurusu has on her phone. The only ones who could show Ito that picture were probably... There were only 3 people who could have done it. Me. Kurusu. And Serika, maybe? That's what I'm thinking. Hold on. Yep. Kurusu, Serika, and Miyashiro. Kurusu. Because she has the picture. Kurusu would have pictures of everyone from Aoba dorm, obviously. She has the same picture we do. And probably old photos of me, too. Which meant she fit the criteria of the real killer. It's either us messing with ourselves, which would be fun as fuck. The only ones who could show Ito that picture were probably... Sariko's my childhood friend. She'd known me for longer than anyone. Of course, she probably had plenty of old photos of me. Didn't I get really sus with her at the last couple parts? I mean, I've been sus of her in the beginning. Sarika, are you doing it? And then I'm like, I don't know. She's being like, oh, hey, hi, I'm just stopping by for no reason. I'm going to stay here. And you're like, this is suspicious. Also, we hide all of our cool cat presses, and she did bring up at one point, he's got embarrassing magazines in his house. How would she know? We hide them. She knows because she's fucking mind reading? And when I lived at Aoba dorm, she'd come over almost every day. She'd gotten along with everyone. Of course she'd have a photo of Yui, too. In other words, she fit the criteria to be the real killer. I will fucking die if it's Serika. Because I've been saying that for a while. Like, we don't have a thing. Yeah. Okay. Me. I could have been mind controlled to do it. Kill her. And then Ito's like, I was talking to you. Wouldn't that be amazing? Ito's like, I was talking to you and you told me to kill her. And I'm like, wait, what? So I was mind controlled to and someone mind controlled both of us? That's the conspiracy there. All of my old photos of myself and the people at Aoba dorm have been lost along with my cell phone at AH Tokyo General Hospital. And that phone hadn't been found yet. I hate him right now. He's been good all day until now. In other words, since I didn't have any photos like that, I wasn't the killer. For a moment I was relieved, but then I realized my mistake. When had someone begun controlling Ito's mind? I didn't know. Maybe it was from before I dropped my phone. So it was possible that I could have shown Ito the old photo. In other words, I couldn't rule myself out. I know it's not my power, but... And so I'm left with these 3, huh? Serika has pink eyes, just like Senri. What if Serika is like Senri's sister or something. Stop! You have been good all day, but you need to stop fucking now. Now. You stop it. There's no fucking reason Mr. Neelix is sitting there with you. I pursed my lips as I stared at the photos on the map. The real killer is one of these three people? Kurusu? Onoe or me? It's Onoe. It's Serica. I'm betting that. Because if it was freaking Kurusu, it would make sense because of the Senri thing. But she didn't know that we knew. And like, Serica was there, and then she's like, you didn't save her! And she knew we had those magazines hidden, and I've been sus of her for a while, so that's my bet. One of us was the person who'd killed all those psychics. And done that to Yui. I have the guide, hiding, so I can't see, because I want to see if I can guess before I look. I'd come up with a lot of different theories, but looking back on them, they all seem so impossible. We're at time, too. At some point, the setting sun had disappeared beyond the artificial horizon created by the city's skyline, and night was falling. How many hours were left? Until November 4th began. She's always been with us, too. I grabbed my bag and ran out of the room. I wanted something. Some form of unshakable evidence. Evidence proving who the killer was. No, that's not right. That's not right. That's not what I wanted. What I wanted was proof that neither Kurusu, Serica, nor I was the killer. I'm going to leave it here. I'm not going to record the next part right now, so I'm cock-blocking myself a little too, so don't worry about it. But I'm also going to close this because I'm not sure if, I just scrolled up enough to be able to see the board and then see the names of, the people we were supposed to pick. So and I'm turning up because I don't want to see if there's anything underneath it. Because I don't want to know who it is yet. But my bet's on Serica. I mean, okay, here's the thing. If it's us, that'd be amazing. Because, if you watch me play other games, I always want us to be the killer, and I'm always disappointed that we're not exactly ever the killer, It was me all along, mind controlling myself. But why would I mind control myself to imagine? You know what I mean? So if it was Kurusu, right? So I'm putting us at the very bottom of the list. Kurusu's the second. Okay, my second option here. But she killed Yui, and then she's faking it, and then she's writing all that stuff down about Senri for us to find, and then be like, oh my god, leave the case alone, because if she was like, yeah, go for it, you know what I mean? Then we'd be like, wait, she's not like that. She's acting like herself, but she wrote that to, lead us, so she would be, seriously playing the game so well. Applause. And then killing Yui? And doing all this just to fuck with us? Because she knew that we left her friend Senri there to die, but she also knew that Senri was going for these experiments and she didn't do anything about it? You know what I mean? So, what's the deal with that? There's definitely other things she's hiding, but I don't think it's her, because if we find out right now that it's her, it's kind of well, okay, I'm still curious as if we find out right now who it is. I'm wondering if we won't find out. You know what I mean? Because if we find out who it is now, then what's the point of then going down? I mean, yes, we're going to find out other things, but I also feel like the true ending, the fifth kind of, say, route, and should be the one where you find out who it really is. You shouldn't really find out now, because then it's well, what's the point of the rest of the game? The rest of the game and, going down the individual characters thing is more adding little pieces to the story, but when you already know the end, it's what's the point? So I don't know. You're okay, there's a bunch of mysteries to be unsolved, but we already know who the killer is, so now the big mystery is done? It doesn't seem like you'd want to know that right now. And if it's Kurusu, why would we have a character out with her? But she is the last character you supposedly should go down, so that would make more sense. And you don't have a Serica one. But I still think it's Serica because it's hilarious how, like, she's just always been there and she's happy and she's and, like, pushing us on and, like, I'll go with you. And, like, she's actually always been spurring us on. Otaku, I don't know. Okay, whatever. I'll go with you. Sure. And she's always so agreeable to everything. And we think she's stupid, but she's not. And we're always like, you're not as dumb as you look. What? Yeah. And she's like, of course I'm not as dumb as I look, motherfucker. Like, this such a fucking act. It's in a better act than fucking Kurusu would be, right? And she made that comment about he's got dirty magazines in his house. And we're like, what? We never questioned how she knew that. You're like, what did she see? How did she know? Because she mind reads. And she just sneaks up on us and shit. I'm just saying. She was always with us when we were having those things. You know what I mean? But it's weird because she was always with us, but Arimura never caught her in a lie. Like, but then again, Arimura was probably focused on seeing if we could see the sword, wasn't checking if anybody else could. And Serica's just like, what's going on, guys? Huh? You know? Because we had the same thing about Ito. But he didn't really see the sword, but... And Ito and Serica, like, they were always... I'm just saying. Was there a scene where we, like, walked into the room and, like, they were there? I mean, there was plenty of times where they were in the room alone together, I think, where we showed up and people were there or whatnot. Like, I'm just saying. And she always seems so clueless, and that's, like, the perfect act, right? Oh my god, what's going on? Was the wind? And everyone else is like, it was fucking Miyashiro, and she's like, what? No! She's always on our side. I'm just sus as fuck is all I'm saying, so that's my bet. But anyway, we'll find out maybe next time. I'm kind of hoping we don't, because again, I feel like it would ruin the game, because then you're done, and then you're like, again, what's the real purpose of playing everybody else's route? You know? So... Like, what's the point of doing all the character routes if you already know that Serica's the one that did it? You're finding out why? Well, the why doesn't matter. It's the who. You want to find out the why. Okay, here's the reasons why. Okay, but who? But then you find out the who and you're like, and then we're going to tell you why. Well, I don't care as much about the why now. You're going to make me spend like 10 hours or more trying to figure out the why? Seems pointless. You know what I mean? It's not like you find out and then they do the why after. They have their villain monologue and then the thing and then whatever. That's fine, but you got to through all these other routes for all that why? It just seems like a lot. But anyway, we'll find out. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.